Greetings. Today we will explore why Sarasota residents choose ARTC over online peptide brands. Let's talk about the peptide Wild West. Somewhere between the genuine science of peptide therapy and what's currently happening online, someone built a very profitable bridge and it's made entirely of marketing copy, stock photos of ripped people who definitely don't look like that because of the peptide they're selling, and a checkout cart that ships to your door in 48 hours with zero medical supervision and a terms of service disclaimer that would make a lawyer nervous. I'm not saying peptide therapy doesn't work. I've spent decades watching it work. I'm saying that the way most people are currently accessing it is a masterclass in how to spend good money on something that may not be what they think it is. Here's what you need to understand about the difference between ordering peptides online and working with a clinician who has been helping people achieve their health, performance, and appearance goals for over 45 years. I'm the digital avatar of Dr. Max McLeod, aka the Nutrition Ninja Doc. His passion and purpose are to solve health problems to help people achieve their health, performance, and appearance goals. He uses AI to save time, allowing him to focus on helping others. With over 45 years of clinical experience, he has developed extensive specialized health knowledge he wants to share, which is why he produces videos. Please note that this is not medical advice. It is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Consult your trusted progressive healthcare provider before making any significant changes in your health regimen. Now let's get back to today's topic, but before that, I ask you to please hit the like button if you find this information helpful. Subscribing to this channel helps get this information to more people. Peptides are extraordinarily sensitive compounds. The difference between a pharmaceutical-grade, properly synthesized, correctly stored peptide and the stuff that ends up in a research chemical vial shipped from a fulfillment center in a state you've never heard of is not a minor quality control distinction. It is the difference between a molecule that does what it's supposed to do and one that doesn't, or worse, one that triggers an immune response, contains bacterial endotoxins, or degrades before it ever reaches your tissues. Most of these peptides are reasonably safe, and the incidence of such reactions is extremely small, especially when compared to the typical problems associated with most medications. There are no regulatory guardrails on research chemical peptides sold online. None. The vendor will tell you they're for research purposes only, which is legal language for we're not responsible for what happens when you inject this into yourself. They also state that they are not intended for injection or human use. The molecule on the label may or may not be the molecule in the vial. The concentration may or may not match what's printed. The sterility may or may not meet any meaningful standard. At ARTC, we use only pharmaceutical-grade compounds from pharmaceutical manufacturers or licensed compounding pharmacies that are subject to rigorous quality standards. The molecule you're getting is the molecule that was studied, synthesized correctly, and handled correctly. That is not a minor logistical detail. That is the entire foundation of whether the therapy works. Here's the other thing the online brands won't tell you. Most peptides don't work in isolation the way the marketing suggests. They work as part of a system. BPC 157 works better when combined with TB 500, and the microcirculation delivering it to damaged tissue is functioning properly. MoTSC produces better metabolic results when the mitochondria being signaled aren't already overwhelmed by systemic inflammation and nutrient deficiency. Most people over 30 have sustained damage to the inner membrane of their mitochondria. It is best to combine MoTSC with SS31 to help repair this damage. GLP-1 class peptides produce lasting results when they're paired with a muscle preservation strategy and temporary demoralizing ones when they aren't. The online model is pick your peptide, add to cart, inject, repeat. There is no assessment of what your body actually needs. There is no evaluation of whether the peptide you've chosen is appropriate for your specific situation. There is no one checking whether your hormones, thyroid, insulin sensitivity, or microcirculatory system are in a state where the peptide can actually do what you want it to do. The ARTC model is assess your complete metabolic picture, determine which interventions are appropriate for your specific biology and goals, combine them intelligently within the Wolverine Healing Protocol framework, and monitor your response over time. These are not equivalent approaches. One of them produces consistent, lasting results. The other produces inconsistent results and a growing collection of half-used vials in your refrigerator. Some peptides require medical oversight, not because the government says so, but because the human body is complicated, and what looks like a straightforward metabolic intervention can interact with existing hormonal imbalances, medications, or underlying conditions in ways that require a trained eye and appropriate modifications. When you work with ARTC, you are working with Dr. McLeod, someone who has 45 plus years of clinical experience, who trained as both a naturopathic physician and a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and who has been using regenerative injection therapies and peptide protocols since before they were trending on TikTok. When you work with an online brand, you are working with a landing page and their sales team. There is also something to be said about the telehealth revolution quietly buried for having an actual human being in your corner who can see you, assess you, and adjust your protocol based on how you're actually responding. Of course, we also offer virtual programs via phone, email, and video conferencing. Peptide therapy is not a set-it-and-forget-it intervention. Dosing may need to be adjusted. Sequencing matters. Synergistic therapies such as HBOT, EWAT, nutritional support, and regenerative injection therapy may dramatically amplify results when added at the right time in the right combination. None of that happens through a chatbot. Sarasota and Lakewood Ranch residents have something that people in most of the country don't: access to a clinic that has been doing this work for decades with the clinical depth to design protocols that actually match the complexity of human biology. Stop ordering from the internet. Stop injecting things you can't verify into yourself based on advice from anonymous forums. Call or come in, get assessed, and find out what your body actually needs from someone who has dedicated their career to answering that question. Call us at 941-806-5511. Stop by 6968 Professional Parkway East in Lakewood Ranch, or visit ARTC Health to schedule your consultation. Biological sovereignty isn't something you add to a cart. It's something you build with the right tools, the right guidance, and the right people in your corner. Your move.